Welcome to She Moves Bravely, a podcast dedicated to empowering women through stories of resilience, courage, and success. I'm your host, Chanté, Dent. Over the past years working with victims and survivors of sexual trauma, I've come to understand a truth. And this is a truth that resonates with me from my experience of sexual trauma. And as I share a writing with you, my hope is that you or that loved one, that person that you genuinely care for, if they've experienced sexual trauma or any sort of trauma, if they're going through any type of pain, my hope is that they treat the trauma and process the pain, that you would treat the trauma and process the pain. You see, what I've learned in terms of this truth is that oftentimes the people who are acquainted with you or who heard about your story, or even those who are in your inner circle, may not understand the depth of the trauma. And even more saddening is the victim, the survivor, might not understand the layers and the depth of the trauma, short term and long term. I read the police report tonight, and there are times I feel sick to the pit of my stomach because of the details. There are layers, so many layers. Layers that matter in the court of law and layers that are irrelevant. Layer number one. When we met, we clicked. We hung out, we had fun. There were occasions of consensual intercourse. Layer number two. I knew I could not continue on that path. My conviction was to not have sex before marriage. I know that my reasons are empty excuses for many. I also know that it was difficult navigating life, having been a victim of childhood sexual violation and never talking about it, suppressing and dealing with the aftermath of it, but not knowing that's why I was an internal mess. When I think about why I was insecure, did what I did, tolerated what I tolerated, and longed for the things I thought would fix me, I now know what was really going on. Layer number four. I did not tell the police the full story, all of the details during the initial report. I did not tell the detective all of the details during the second report. I called and shared more details during my third attempt to make sense of everything. I could not believe I was pregnant, and I didn't want to talk about being raped. The psychology behind my behavior makes sense to me now, but I did not understand why I did what I did at the time. And that confusion and frustration made my case weak and weaker. Layer number five. I felt like I was raped because it was my fault for being sexually active in the past. In the police report, he stated that he couldn't tell or didn't understand why I was saying no and that it was faint. And eventually he stopped as I was trying to push him off of me. Also said he thought I was finding pleasure. I was not experiencing pleasure. Not there for that. Layer number six. It is common for him to receive support because many will say, what did I expect? You had sex with him in the past and you scheduled another massage. Yes, I have had a massage from him and it was professional. Yes, I had sex with him in the past and it was consensual. Layer number seven. Why didn't I leave? As he says, why did you continue? I wish I could have verbalized how I felt and how I processed everything when I filed the police report. My actions did not make sense to me, and I hate how interview questions are probed. The word consent is used a lot because after he forced himself on me, after he would not stop when I said, what are you doing? Stop. After I tried to push him off and after he stopped and got up, I tried to get myself together, gather my thoughts on what had just happened. I remember so clearly, and in my mind, it was even more shocking and sickening. He asked if I wanted to continue. It did not take long for me to decide I wanted to leave that place as if I did not get raped. I laid down, he engaged, and I did not fight back. Yes, that's what consent is in the police report. That is what consent is to him. I give him that. Except that's not what consent was to me. I laid there, looking to the side, turning my head, waiting for him to finish. No pleasure, only pain. The pain of trying to fix rape because I did not want to walk away wounded. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I was already wounded. I could not undo what had just occurred. Sex did not eliminate rape. Layer number 8. When the DA informed me that she would not move forward with the case, she explained why. I did not share all the details during the first interview. He was sorry for what he did. He did not mean to hurt me. And she finished by saying that they could not prove if the child was conceived by rape or when I consented. I put consent in quotation marks because I understand the law and the societal definition and perspective. But if you could have been in my mind that day, nowhere would you have found the word consent. I asked her about the proof of the child being conceived when he raped me or when I laid down and did not fight back, how that made a difference with her not moving forward with the case. She explained the breakdown of the counts against him. So every time he penetrated, it would be a count and in some way a greater charge. I remember saying, it is not about a child being conceived or not. He raped me. She said she believed me, and it would be difficult to prove. Gut-wrenching? Yes, it was. I thought, is this about the pregnancy or the rape? This is what hurt my heart. So many details. He shouldn't be charged because he didn't mean it. When he was interviewed, he called it a fight. He also made it seem like I enjoyed it and he was confused. I know I made it clear. Stop, no, pushing you off of me. I was clear. And yes, when he eventually stopped and when he recognized, when he re-engaged and I laid there, I can see him saying or thinking when I left, oh, that it must not have been that bad because she continued. I can't argue with his perception. And it does not discount that he raped me. And what I hate about rape, being raped, is that no matter what you do, talk about, keep it to yourself, no matter what you do, you cannot undo the rape and all the craziness that follows behind it. It sticks. The aftermath of rape stays with you until you deal with it. But I did not want to deal with it. And it's my fault for trying to fix it. I made it worse for me and better for him. Layer number 9. As for the pregnancy, it was difficult. Some can hang on to, well, it was consensual. You laid there, you didn't fight back. Or they can believe his version. I've had someone go head to head with me for trying to tie the pregnancy to rape. What people don't understand is, well, it's twofold. Number one, I understand that everyone has a right to believe that I was down to have sex with him after being raped and it wasn't that bad and I didn't get pregnant from rape. but got pregnant a few minutes after being raped because that's when he ejaculated. He didn't ejaculate when I tried to fight him off. It was after, when he thought you were in agreement. And that's okay to embrace. I will not attempt to stop you. And part 2, I was raped. And as irrational as it may sound or look, I laid down to continue because I did not want to remember. I was sexually assaulted and will never forget the day that changed my life. And getting pregnant from rape or laying down to normalize does not have a line, not a fine line, and not a blurry line. I was raped. Layer number 10. To the beautiful girl I gave birth to, my pregnancy was difficult to embrace. Recovering from rape and being pregnant was not an ideal situation. There is no label you need to embrace from anyone. My goal during pregnancy was to separate the child from the trauma. I kept this mindset to keep you healthy. You were adopted because I did not feel equipped to raise you or give you everything you would need or deserve. I love you, and my only focus was to heal from rape and place you in an environment where you would be safe and loved. Layer number 11. I know my story has many layers and perspectives and perceptions, and some can care less. But what matters is that you know that you are loved. I let go of the desire to prove my point. Just as some can care less, there are some who will never believe me. Well, there's no need to put further energy into that. I don't know how he feels. What brought so much pain to me was a light affair to him. No big deal. Well, maybe I did. I did make a mistake by not addressing him sooner, by not reporting sooner. But that wasn't the plan. I was supposed to suppress it and never talk about it. The plan was for me to act as if it never happened. When pregnancy was a result, maybe I should have continued to act like it never happened. That was definitely an option. Outside of considering an abortion, I wondered, what if I would have never told that advice nurse about the rape? The police would not have come to my house. There would not have been a police report, none of that. Would I have still given birth? Still considered an abortion? Raised the baby? Still proceeded with adoption? If so, would it have still been an open adoption? Or would I have chosen a closed adoption? Would that have helped me forget about everything? No, it would not. Heartfelt writing, and I felt obligated to share because I can only imagine, even in the heaviness of sharing one of my writings, I can only imagine the heaviness that someone is living today and tomorrow and the day after that. And they've been living in that heaviness for weeks, months, even years. And I know the heaviness of silent trauma, the heaviness of the silent pain, the heaviness of suppressing, the heaviness of just not wanting to process or feel. I know that heaviness. And even in the difficulty of considering what that could even look like, to talk about it, to process it, to move through it and navigate through it so you can come on the other side. Even considering that might scare you a little bit. Yep. But in the end, my hope and my prayer, my heartfelt prayer, is that you will find that strength to process the pain, treat that trauma, just like we treat any other issue that we're dealing with. Treat the trauma and process the pain.